All right, AP History students, this is the last in a series of videos where I went through point by point of the 2020 DBQ rubric. If you haven't watched the earlier videos, go ahead and give them a watch. But again, the purpose of all of these videos is to teach you how to achieve every single point that is available to you on this 10-point 2020 rubric. Okay, if you're taking AP US History, AP European History, or AP Modern World History, all of these videos apply. The DBQ rubric is the same, and so I hope these are helpful. If you have questions or need clarification, please just comment or send me a note. I'll do my best to answer those. Okay, let's look at analysis and reasoning point number 3 together real quickly. And again, this is the same exact language that was used in the previous rubric, except it was analysis and reasoning point number 2. It says that you are able to demonstrate a complex understanding of the historical development that is the focus of the prompt, using evidence to corroborate, qualify, or modify an argument that addresses the question. Let's just stay on that last part here. Argument. Remember, you cannot get this point if you don't have an argument. You can't get the point if you don't have a thesis. Make it happen, people. Now, as you read the right side here, you have basically 5 ways you can get this. It says a response may demonstrate this complex understanding in a variety of ways, such as explaining nuance of an issue by analyzing multiple variables, explaining both similarity and difference, cause and effect, continuity and change, or explaining. Okay, so basically those are the historical reasoning skills that we've talked about this year. You can get it by explaining relevant or insightful connections within and across time periods, confirming the validity of an argument by corroborating multiple perspectives across themes. And then lastly, you can get it by qualifying or modifying an argument by considering diverse or alternative views of evidence. Okay, so I would encourage you to study that list, and I'm going to just say this. Most of you are going to be, you're going to have 1, maybe 2 of those that you can handle. Others of you are you're going to think you can do any of them, and you can't. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. For world history, I've seen this so many times, and that is you try to do the connections across different time periods, okay? And so you'll see something like imperialism, and you'll be like, imperialism here was just like when the Mongols did this. And then you kind of just stop. You might have another sentence where you give a little bit of detail about what the Mongols did, but that's not what we're really doing here with the complexity point. That's just a random comparison that happens to take place between 2 different groups of people, 2 different places, 2 different times, whatever. Fantastic. We're impressed. You took the class, you read the history book, and you know about the Mongols. Not what we're doing. The key phrase that I would really hope to impart to you here is that whatever you're doing for complexity is that you are extending the argument, your thesis. You are extending that to something else. So again, as you take this test, it's really important that you strategize how best and most efficiently to get those points. If I had to sacrifice a point, like if I was just like, you know what, time, I'm running out, I can't get a 10 out of 10, it's just not going to happen, I'd probably give up this point. It's not super easy. There have been AP history teachers who call this the unicorn point because it's not very easy to get. It's elusive. It is a myth, if you will. But I think it's actually very achievable, and I hope that many of my students get it. Here's what I would suggest. To be efficient and strategize to get this point, I would obviously plan ahead my essay and get all the other things taken care of. And then I would make a separate paragraph to try to get this. I've had students who have gotten 5s in the past who literally attempted analysis and reasoning 2. In that case, it was analysis and reasoning 2, but in this case, it's analysis and reasoning 3. They attempted it like 3 or 4 times. They had paragraph, attempt 1, attempt 2, attempt 3, and they just tried again and again because they had enough time to do it. I don't know how much time you're going to have, but if I was going to pick one of those 5, and I'll put them up again, those 5 methods to get it, I would probably pick either the theme one, where you're looking at perspectives across those historical themes, the pieces themes for world students. Or I would do the last one, which is qualifying or modifying an argument by considering diverse or alternative views of evidence. What this last one basically amounts to is a counter argument. This is really a lot easier to do for a DBQ because you have documents that are not completely aligned. Remember, as you read them, you're trying to group stuff. You're trying to group these documents together. And one set of documents might be kind of from this viewpoint and another set might be on this viewpoint. And so that really would lend itself to the counter argument. Most of you who are in an English class have had to write a counter argument for an argumentative essay anyway. So this is something you're familiar with doing. I don't think it's very difficult, but just remember when you do it, you do have to include some specific evidence. You can't just be like, others may argue blank and then just conceptually talk about it. You have to give evidence that supports that side and then either refute it or concede a point. Just like you would in an English essay, you got to give those aspects of a counter argument. Now, the thematic way to get this complexity point is also, I think, pretty attainable. And the reason I say that is because most historical content has a lot of overlap when it comes to these themes. So in our class, we use the PIECES acronym. We have politics, we have innovations in tech, we have economics, we have cultural aspects, we have humans in their interaction with the environment, and then we have the social aspect. And so as you look at a concept, let's just talk about industrialization, right? Industrialization starts off as more or less it starts off as innovations in technology, right? Because you're inventing stuff that does stuff. You're going to have overlap with the environment because there's a lot of pollution and stuff that's going on in the environment because of these innovations. You're going to have cultural impacts because it changes the way that people think. It changes the way they interact with the other groups of people because there's imperialism that as a result. The social order is adjusted. So you may be focusing on the economic aspect of industrialization for your DBQ. Maybe all the documents pertain to, the economic benefits, the trade, the supply and demand, all that kind of thing, capitalism. That's economics. Great. Your whole essay is about that. Well, then it's really easy to apply that argument that you made in your thesis to, I don't know, the social implications of industrialization. It's a natural carryover. It's a natural extension of your argument to examine what those cultural or social or whatever other theme you're looking at, what those aspects were that relate to your initial argument about the economics of industrialization. Okay, so again, the key here is that you are extending the argument. It is more than just a phrase or a sentence. It's going to be a little bit longer. I suggest writing a short paragraph to do this, and I suggest making multiple attempts. You can weave it throughout the essay. In fact, I've seen readers for the AP exam give this point for people who just have a ton of evidence. They're just demonstrating they know the subject. They know the topic of the prompt. You can get it. But I would suggest, for the sake of my mental checklist, that I separate it out to a paragraph, and I would make multiple attempts to do this. If you're looking at time, I would not do this first. I would do the other points and then do this at the end. Okay, it's achievable. You can do it. And again, you do not lose points for trying. So at least make an attempt. And I hope that you all are able to get this point. If you have questions, again, write them in the comment section, subscribe, share the video, and hopefully it helps a lot of you AP history students. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you later on.